everybody, it's Professor Sparke here, and I'm joined today by Professor Max Tomba, who's kindly agreed to talk with me about his perspectives on photography as a professor here at UCSC in the History of Consciousness program. Professor Tomba has written a great deal about the Frankfurt School, about Marxist history, Marxist work, and includes work about Walter Benjamin, who wrote this famous essay about the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. In other words, the work of art in the age of photography. So, Professor Tomba, thank you so much for joining me here in the quarry. And basically, could you give me any sense, or give the students a sense, of what you think the lessons of Walter Benjamin's work on photography, thinking about photography, might be in our contemporary moment, especially for students who are thinking about photographs of health problems or health interventions that might address those problems?
Yeah. So I think to understand the Benjamin's way to deal with technology and art in the age of technical reproducibility, I think there are two main categories that we have to address. I think the first one is a kind of, it sounds a little bit mysterious, and is aura, and the other one is the political implication of the dissolution of aura.
So aura, A-U-R-A.
Yes,
aura.
correct.
Yeah.
Aura. And when Benjamin is talking about aura, his point is, maybe an example can be useful. So if we go to a concert and we want to listen to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, so we go there, and there is a limited number of people, and there is an orchestra, and they will play Beethoven, and they will play Beethoven in that very specific space and time for a very specific audience. This uniqueness is what characterizes the aura. Now Benjamin thinks that because of technologies, this aura is disappearing. Why? Because we can go home and we can listen to the radio, and maybe if we are lucky we can find the Ninth Symphony of Beethoven. What's the difference? The difference is that thousands or maybe millions of people can listen to the same thing, and not only here but in many different places. It can be Santa Cruz, San Francisco, New York, and they are listening to the same thing. And the second dimension is the same LP can be played many different times. So the uniqueness of the space and the uniqueness of the time is liquefied, is disappeared.
Right, and so we're saying, like, with a painting can only be looked at in a single gallery.
Yeah.
A photograph can travel the world.
Exactly. This is the point. And for Benjamin, this has some interesting political implication. So first of all, for Benjamin, maybe one more theoretical thing is against Kant's idea that we have a kind of a universal and meta-historical categories. So space and time, according to Kant, are forms that we share as a human beings, and they are meta-historical, meaning is they don't change historically. Benjamin says no, they change historically because of the dissolution of aura is changing our perception of space and time. Mm-hmm. Space and time become something different. And Benjamin is working always in this direction, how a change in our perception will affect the categories through which we perceive and represent the world. Mm-hmm. And if they affect the categories through which we perceive the world, they will also affect the way we act and intervene into the world. And this is the bridge to the political dimension, because now we're talking about how we act differently, because we perceive reality in a different way. So if we go back to the aura issue, and maybe photography is a good one, Benjamin say, or films, Benjamin say that with this new technology, everybody could claim the right to be filmed, to become an actor.
Right.
Today, if we want to try to apply Benjamin's categories to our time, today we are in a time in which basically everybody can make a movie.
Yeah.
Everybody can become a musician. It's to buy a keyboard. It's costs, I suppose, $1,000 or
Everyone can take photos with their phones.
you can take photos with your phone. You can even make a video with your phone.
Which, by
This-
the way, is what we're doing right now.
This is exactly what we are doing. So this, for Benjamin, this is a kind of a interesting field of possibilities, and we can even call this thing, Benjamin doesn't use the word, but I think it's implied in what he's saying, is a kind of an expansion of possibilities in the field of democratization.
Yes, right. So now everybody can participate.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody can participate, everybody can film, can make pictures, can make a movie, can paint, can become a musician, so can do many different things. And for Benjamin, this is not a loss in terms of quality, it's a democratization. We gain a lot in terms of participation, in terms of we can do many different things.
Right.
Now the political question is, how can we deal with that? Are we ready to deal with that? Are we ready to deal with this kind of expansion of possibilities in democratization? And one can say, for Benjamin, and then we can jump again to our time. For Benjamin, this is a crucial question because in a certain way, this expansion in possibilities and democratization creates some kind of instability, politically speaking. So for him, these possibilities are kind of ambiguous. They can go both ways. They can generate liberation, let's say, or they can generate, in Benjamin's time, fascism. Because fascism is the answer, is the way this kind of instability could be controlled, could be contained, or democratization could be contained.
Recontained. So
Recontained.
this is sort of a double movement, sort of an opening to more participation, and then a closing down
Yeah.
through control. And what would be the contemporary versions of that, where we see, like, there's all this media being generated by people that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook, and but there are signs of control as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It,
Is a good question. I think the way to orient ourselves, I suppose, is to try to think in terms of a possible parallel. So, politically, for Benjamin, or in Benjamin's time, the question of political democratization was either we have more control by people, groups, or we have the organization of these of the people in masses. So then you can see fascism is a way you can take control of democratized people, and you can contain them by organizing them as a masses. The alternative for Benjamin was it's possible to have a people control on politics, people control on economics, people control on industries, and so on. So that was the bifurcation. Today, I think the democratization, since everybody can become a filmmaker, everybody can become a journalist. I can have my personal website, and I can produce some news. I can give my interpretation of what is going on in the world. Again, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Benjamin would have said, no, it's just a possibility. That possibility can go into conspiracy theories, and you can just generate many different interpretations of reality.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, one can say this is a kind of a fragmentation. Instead of producing more democracy, can produce authoritarianism.
Yeah.
On the other hand, is an open question, and this is very difficult because we live in our present, is what can we do with this possibility in which basically everybody can be part of how we understand the world, how we comment on some event, how can we share interpretation, comments, reasoning, and so on. And I think this is the difficult question today. I would say maybe technologies, again, in a very ambiguous way, can help us or can destroy us, and I think that is what artificial intelligence can do.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence is basically what is possible to do only for a machine, but no longer for an individual human being, to collect a huge amount of data and try to make sense of this huge amount of information. I think this is out of scale for the single human brain, but artificial intelligence can do it. I think the open question is when and how we will learn how to interact with these new technologies.
So, I mean, what can individual students do to sort of seize the sort of democratizing possibilities and protect their work from, its capture by either kind of corporate control and sort of private interests, or even worse, the sort of conspiracy groupthink kind of silos that clearly exist on Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is now, X. There are these sorts of silos, echo chambers where the images and commentary circulate that might as well have been written by an AI bot, insofar as it's shutting down genuine voices and it's replacing genuine voices with a sort of a circulation of myths and disinformation. What can they do to protect their work from sort of falling into those silos, those traps?
This is a very good question. I think our first reaction is to try to control what we don't understand. And basically we need new legislations, we need control, we need to create new procedures and rules against, in our field as teachers, educators, against possible artificial intelligence plagiarism. And I think this is the first reaction. I think it's highly, in my opinion, it's highly inappropriate. This is not the way to go, because we cannot control everything, and we cannot basically produce such a huge amount of new legislations and laws and so on. I think the problem is again how we learn how to interact, is how can we become mature enough to deal with these new forms of experience / representation of reality. If I go back to Benjamin, so what Benjamin had in mind at the time, and I try to make another parallel with our present, Benjamin said, oh, the field in which we can learn something is playing. We have to play with these new technologies. Let's make pictures, go around, being a photographer, and play with that, being playful. I think today can be something similar, and I think it's actually, I'm not inventing anything, and I'm not saying anything new, because I think this is what a lot of young kids are doing every day with video games which use artificial intelligence.
Right, and I guess another aspect of that playful quality is that it invites others into the play, right? It has this potentiality to be dialogical, collaborative.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is part of how the democratic or democratizing possibilities can be amplified, is to invite more conversation, invite more collaboration, and among students at least, to embrace the possibility of always sharing your work, not with a view to kind of like upping your friend count, but rather with a view to actually having genuine dialogue.
Yeah. No, I think you put it beautifully. Yes, I totally agree. I think, this thing that Benjamin called in German Spielraum, the space of playing. Spielraum. And the point is that how we turn this realm, this space, this common place in something that is really common. I think that, and we know there are, if I go back to video games, there are video games which are multiplayer video games. They are a kind of a common place.
Yes.
The difficult thing is always to think in terms of possibilities, and possibilities can usually go in many different directions and can become something ugly. And I wanna just tell you an anecdote. This is something that Steve Bannon said.
Oh gosh.
About about a video game. Probably he made up the story, but who cares? And the story he made up, it was about a guy who played these multiplayer video games, and Steve Bannon described this guy as a kind of he said, I quote Steve Bannon, a loser. He's at home and doesn't have a proper job. He's eating junk food and playing. This is the description of this guy. But in the game, he is, I'm quoting Steve Bannon again, he is the man. He's an hero. And he has 1,000 and thousands of followers. Now what happened, and this is where the story becomes interesting. In the real life, the player passed away. When the players knew about that, they organized a gigantic funeral for the hero in the video game. And but because in the video game there are factions, it's about wars, the other faction took the opportunity to attack the friends of the hero. That day, because the players wanted to play the war or defend their hero, the players, and we are talking about what Steve Bannon said, thousands, they didn't go to work. They didn't go to school. They stayed at home and they were playing to defend their hero. At that point, Steve Bannon asked, okay, now what is reality? If something that happened in the video games has a big real implication in real life, these people didn't go to work. And then he said, from his perspective, sooner or later, we will learn how to weaponize these things.
Yeah.
So, again, these technologies are not in themselves tools of liberation. They can go in different directions. They can become really something really ugly. But I think it's up to us, to keep open the space, the common space. What you say, the common space of experimentation, and the openness of this experiment, the openness of this communication, and try to turn these technologies into a real democratic possibilities. It can be many things. If we to control government decision, to control corporations, I don't know. It is about what we can do.
To control healthcare.
Or to control.
Yeah. Well, that's a really optimistic way to end. So let's draw it to a close here. Thank you very much, Professor Tomba. That was fantastic. Thank you
so much.